Welcome to the Moviegoers Society podcast brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis. And once again, joining me is my co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. And I'm going to say it, Drew, we're back. I feel like it's been a while.
What you gonna do when the Moviegoer Society comes for you, Sean?
We're going to play catch up is what we're going to do.
It's not due to lack of wanting to, that's for sure. We've both just been busy. You've had 1,000 interviews lately. But we did get to see Bad Boys Ride or Die in person together, which is going to be the big focus of today, which is exciting.
Yeah, it is. We just also had a holiday too, and just everyone deserves a day off. But we're excited we're back because in this podcast, we dive into the world of cinema, exploring everything from beloved classics to the latest blockbusters like today. And we're on episode 44. We're slowly getting to episode 50, but we're going to team up with our Ride or Die Bad Boys. We're going to talk about the fourth installment of Bad Boys, and we're going to touch quickly also on Furiosa. But before we get into all of that, we want to make sure you can connect with us online. You can find me on almost every single social media platform you can think of at Sean Taj, Nerdtropolis at Nerdtropolis. So please do follow us. And don't forget to visit nerdtropolis.com for your daily dose of movie news, reviews, interviews, and trailers. And Drew, where can they find you when you're not contributing to Nerdtropolis?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. I always like to plug Letterboxd because it's where you can really see what I'm watching from day to day, week to week. And of course, most weeks here on Moviegoers Society, we'll be back to regular form here soon.
Yes, very soon. Also, don't forget to catch up on past episodes of the Moviegoers Society. If you missed any of them, we got some great ones. We got more coming your way. Also, don't forget to catch up on past episodes of the Moviegoers Society and tune into my podcast, Real Insights, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, Nerdtropolis YouTube channel. Drew is right. I've been working very hard. It's been a while since I mentioned what I was doing. I know I talked to the director of the Garfield movie, Mark Dindal. Then I talked to Tom Blythe, that's known from the Hunger Games movie. Talked to Viggo Mortensen. Also talked to Ishana Knight Shyamalan about The Watchers. Spoke to the voice cast and directors of Ultraman Rising. Also caught up again with John Voight to talk about Megalopolis, National Treasure 3, Reagan. We had a great time. So a lot of in-depth stuff. Also, I spoke to our boys, the directors of Bad Boys Ride or Die, Bilal and Adil. That's a great interview, guys, especially if you actually want in depth about what's going on with this film, but also just catching up, and their personalities are fantastic. That's all I have to say.
I assumed you were saving them for last because I know that you've become quite chummy now after a couple interviews here.
Yeah, and especially them being the recipients of the Lance Reddick Luminary Legacy Award, which is a very important award that we give out. So yeah, big talent. We're gonna jump into Bad Boys in a second, but I finally got to see Furiosa, which was a little late to the party, but I will say that you got to see it too as well. But I will say this: I took the whole family to watch Furiosa, watched it in XD, a Cinemark theater, Cinemark XD, and that was a really great cinematic experience. I really loved it. The family loved it, but it is a little bit of an artsy Mad Max film if you think about it. It's not your typical kind of like Fury Road. There's a little I don't know how to say it. It's just more artistic touch with this film, which was great. Didn't bother me at all, but I don't think every moviegoer would love this film, especially with its length and storytelling and a couple of things, but when it's the action, it is awesome. I really thought, seeing a younger Furiosa, not speaking of the adulter, I don't know how old Anya Taylor-Joy's playing. I don't know how old she's playing, but the girl that plays the younger version of her does a really great job as well. And Chris Hemsworth's great in this, but I just thought this was a movie that really deserved more love than the box office was giving it. A lot more praise, but I can see why. There's something wrong with movies these days. There's too many big ones too often. There's no breathing room anymore. It's really exhausting, especially as someone that loves movies. There's more big movies coming, and I'm exhausted already. And we're only in the beginning of June, Drew. I mean, there's so many big stuff coming, and I just felt like this is felt in the wrong place to really capitalize.
I think just with Furiosa, I think I was a little higher on it than you were. I really enjoyed it. I do kind of agree, but I kind of think that what you were saying about it being like more of an art film kind of applies to all of George Miller's things. Like what can appear as an action movie on the outside, there's a lot more to it, and just the work and time that goes into the meaning and in depth. I don't know. I think there's just always a lot there. Even when you go to like Happy Feet and the animated films that he's done, it's just a lot more than like your basic animated film. Thought Furiosa was really solid. I think that the only thing working against Furiosa is that it's not Fury Road. That it's a prequel set to Fury Road. It's the cell that I talked about before, right? It's you're doing an origin story for a side, or for a supporting character. I mean, Furiosa, I guess, is arguably the lead of Fury Road, really. Like Max is there, but he doesn't talk much and whatever. But still, like you're doing a side character in a Mad Max movie, an origin story with a different actress set before. That being said, I think for what this movie is, it's great. It's just as incredible as the action scenes are, I don't know if there's anything here that truly surpasses anything that's done in Fury Road. So it's like more of Fury Road is not a bad thing at all. This is an incredible movie, but I didn't walk out feeling the absolute highs that I had from Fury Road, despite this being truly one of the best movies I've seen this year, in my opinion. So I think that's, and it, Chris Hemsworth to me stole the show. um Despite it being Furiosa having her name on it, Furiosa is like kind of a small role in the whole first hour of the movie. It's like Dementis's movie for a while before, I think it's almost an hour into the movie that we actually see Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. It's a different actress playing the younger version for the whole first hour. So I just thought Chris Hemsworth was incredible, and congrats to him for getting the movie star cred to be at the point where he can just kind of do what he wants to in these kinds of roles and have fun. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I had a really great time with it, and I loved watching it like an XD. I'm sure if you watch an IMAX or something similar, it's amazing. Yeah, an hour until we get like Anya Taylor Joy. I did not know that going in, which was fine, but I didn't hate it to be honest. I think the young Furiosa, Alila Brown, did a really great job. Chris Hemsworth did a really great job. I thought the action was great, but you can tell some of the CGI, some of the effects are cheaper than what we saw in Fury Road. For whatever reason, you can kind of tell some of it's like not real. It's based on a blue screen and stuff like that. So I wish it just kind of sharpened it. But the action is there. I mean, there's a lot of action sequences, a lot of big action scenes, and
And
that
not
might,
to, and I
yeah,
agree with you about some of the CG in the movie, but for the most part, it's still, George Miller doing a lot of crazy practical things that other directors would not have the guts to do. So I still think it's some amazing stuff, but yeah, it's just there are some things that just don't look quite as polished as like Fury Road did.
yeah. But there's big, real explosions, big fire. I mean, it's wild. Like this was like a Fury Road to me as well. Like just how long some of these, they're on the road a lot of times with all this action. They should probably title it a little differently, maybe too, because no one knows who Furiosa is. It could have been just a title issue that it didn't do well in the box office. Also, it's rated R. Rated R films are really tough to really launch hugely. But we'll get into one that is doing pretty well. But I thought it was really good. I mean, I was excited to see more from George Miller. I actually really enjoyed it. Everyone else that was with me enjoyed it. It might have not been as strong as Free Road, and kind of maybe disappointing at sometimes, based on its like taking an hour before we got Anya Taylor Joy. I thought that was maybe a downside, even though the young girl did a great job. Because some people are just like, where is she? What is this that we see the trailers for? Maybe it could have been a two-part film. Who knows? It could have been.
Yeah, it's just, I guess on one hand, I'm not surprised that people didn't show up in droves to this because it does feel like a little bit niche in its own way. On the other hand, it's like the way people talk about Fury Road, it's one of the best movies, not just of the past 10 years, but like of the millennium so far. Of the past almost 25 years, it's considered one of the best movies that's been made. And so I guess I'm kind of surprised it didn't get more attention in that way. But from an accessibility standpoint, I get it.
Yeah, but I hope this doesn't make it difficult to get another film in the Mad Max
Uh,
series.
I am not hopeful at this point. I think this. George Miller is, how old is he now? He's pretty old. He's getting up there in age.
But he
This one
looks
didn't.
great. He does look great for his age.
Oh, sure, sure. But this one didn't make a huge, yes, he's 79 years old. This one didn't make a big profit at the box office. Probably going to be a bit of a bomb. Um, Unfortunately, our Mad Max journey might be over. I don't want to be the negative Nelly. I hope that's not the case, but it is hard to get optimistic about another one.
I mean, he has another movie planned that takes place after Fury Road.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he has something else planned. I want to see Mel Gibson back. They need to do like an old man Mad Max, kind of concluded in that way.
I don't think you should get your hopes up about that either.
It would be full circle for that franchise, is all I have to say, regardless of where everyone sits on that. But yeah, shame the box office was not great, but I loved it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a solid blockbuster, really thrilling, great cast, and yeah, one of the best directors I think to do it. And it's a rated R flick. Didn't do well box office, but this next film, the fourth installment for Bad Boys Ride or Die, number one at the box office, rated R. Controversy there too, Drew, with Will Smith. Didn't bother anybody. But man, what a film that was. We're in the same theater, we're in the same row together. That theater went crazy for almost the whole entire time, which shows you that this film is hilarious, shocking, action-packed, and it's just a good old time.
They do this sometimes with the press screenings we go to. They're also fan screenings, and so I'd say we were at a particularly rowdy screening, which I thought was fun for some of the moments. Like there's a big moment. I won't go into spoilers or anything, but there's a big moment involving the character Reggie, who's been a recurring character in these movies.
And just like Dylan Bilal cell, they said MVP, MVP.
Yeah, I think since Bad Boys 2, Reggie's been a part of these. And there's a big moment involving Reggie, and our theater just went absolutely ballistic, crazy, loud, explosive. It was, so things like that were very fun, but then there was also like just a lot of yelling out and calling out at other things where it was probably not warranted. But I think everybody was just hyped up at that point. But if you're going to see this movie, see it in a full theater. And it's possible you could have over the past weekend, like you said, with the box office. It did really well.
It's sitting right now at close to 105 million worldwide, domestically 56 million, which is pretty darn good for a rated R film. Amazing. I really I commend my boys, Bilal and Adil. They're great directors. Haven't really done a crazy amount of stuff, but the stuff they've done has been quality. And they got a great relationship with Sony now. They did the last one, which was Bad Boys. What was it? What was it called? Oh, for Bad Boys for Life. And we spoke about that title change and now Ride or Die. And that interview, if you go check it out, I gave him some titles. I think Last Ride was one of them, and just Bad Boys, What You Gonna Do? That just really should be the title for the next one. But man, they did some awesome stuff. The camera work is amazing. There's one that I kind of have a reel on whatever you follow me or Nerdtropolis on, and the interview has it about the Snorri cam, invented by Mr. Snorri, which is like this rig that Will Smith wears, and it's very video game angle like at times. And so he's operating the camera. Will Smith is operating the camera and his weaponry at the same time, twisting it back and forth as he's moving through this kind of maze of a shootout, John Wick style, right? But that was just really cool. Like that was something that they spotted, I guess, on Instagram, and just found it and just did it. I mean, it works, and it'd be cool to see more really artistic camera angles or just way to film stuff that we've never seen before. I can't believe it's taken us this long to also get the behind the scenes stuff, a lot of this stuff. Maybe this has been done before or not, but I love directors talking about what they found and how they do it. I mean, that's the fun part of these movies.
There have been some movies that have done first person perspective as like a gimmick where it didn't look good. Like I'm sorry for even bringing this up, but if you remember back in the early 2000s, there was the Doom movie starring Carl Urban and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And there's a first person segment in that movie that's a throwback to the video game. It's super cheesy. Pretty gimmicky. There was a whole movie called Hardcore Henry a few years ago that was from a first person perspective, but there was something about the first person scenes in Bad Boys Ride or Die where I was like, this looks different. How did they do this, or what are they doing? And then seeing the rig in motion, I was like, man, that is incredible that they did this practically. That shot was not like digitally altered, that it was what it was. I thought that was really incredible. And so I think that again, yeah, Adil and Bilal, shout out to them for just like taking some leaps here and doing some interesting things. I think there was a lot, I mean, from the beginning of the movie, the camera work is super dynamic. There's a lot of revolving shots, circular shots that are kind of a shout out to the Michael Bay of it all, because that's one of the things Michael Bay is known for. But they just did a lot of interesting things here. I don't know if all of it necessarily worked as well as other parts of it, but like, it was never dull to watch by any means. It's just the movie moves nonstop.
It does. And there's been rumors about them maybe possibly in the hat for Spider-Man 4. I didn't ask them about that per se, but I asked them their favorite Spider-Man villain and kind of get around that. But while watching this movie, because I knew about this rumor, I was like, they would actually do a really great job with a grounded Spider-Man 4, especially that takes place in New York, that's in the streets. I think they can really offer a really cool perspective of New York and the fights. If they take what they did with Bad Boys, a lot of it, and embedded into Spider-Man 4, I would love to see that, especially, with some of the camera work and how Spider-Man fights and moves around. I think they can elevate that franchise with just their ideas, because they're nerds, first of all. They're movie lovers, they're talented directors, and they have a lot to offer. So I'm hoping that happens. There's a lot of things I hope they take on, because there's some projects that fell in. They might be tied or get an offer to do a Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, which would be great. Like, I want to see them do more big IPs, because I think they can handle it. They're such a talented and trustworthy duo. You give them anything and they can knock it out of the park. It's sad that Batgirl is gone, but I just don't believe what I heard about that previously. But this film also has a lot of great chemistry, and it starts with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. They don't miss a beat, right, Drew? I mean, they are just the tag team duo of our generation, at least.
I mean, you can tell they just have tons of chemistry for doing this together for over 20 years, just being involved in this franchise. And so just from the get-go, they're, as soon as they're on screen together, you're like, it's like comfort food. You're like, I'm in a good place right now with these two characters on screen. I thought Martin Lawrence, who he's always been more of the comedic relief to Will Smith being like more of the straight man in these movies, although Will Smith's very funny in them too. But Martin Lawrence is more of like, I don't want to say the buffoon of the two, like that's going too far, but still he's just more goofy.
He takes a spiritual turn in this film that causes a lot more laughter. And
yeah, he's very funny in this one. Like, he's always been funny, but I just thought he was particularly funny here. Yeah, there's he has a near death situation where he, comes to the conclusion that it's not his time. And so part of the gimmick of the whole movie is he's like, I can't die. It's not my time yet. And it does play out to a lot of comedy.
I mean, I'm laughing right now just thinking about it. This movie is worth a rewatch. I have to watch it again. I definitely want to take the whole family and check this out. It's really great. Great plot. Great fourth installment. Like I said, there's tons of chemistry. It really capitalized on the previous films, and I'm not sure. I mean, we'll get more of them, but like the stories are still generic at the same time. So, but which is fine. That's just what you get for this type of genre for this. And did you know that Martin Lawrence was initially offered the Rush Hour role instead of Chris Tucker? I just saw like a clip the other day, and I think it was Jimmy Fallon, and apparently that was the fact that he was Jackie Chan offered that to him before Chris Tucker. And
I could see it.
I'm glad it didn't, because this Martin Lawrence, his franchise is Bad Boys, and he really should, and he stuck to that. Obviously, Chris Tucker, it's Rush Hour. So I would have seen kind of like, they're very similar films, kind of that buddy cop action stuff. So I'm glad he didn't take that as well. But this film, fresh energy for the Bad Boys franchise. I thought it was much better than the last one, just based on the humor and the chemistry. Oh, real quick, everyone asked about Will Smith and the slap, if that affected the film. It is addressed in the movie in the best way possible. That's all I'm going to say. That almost slipped my mind, but there are some good moments about that slap that comes back in this film. So
I'll say this about it too. I thought that moment was great. I won't say anything more about it. It made me laugh. Or actually, our whole theater.
There's not really a soft touch about it too either. They go hard on it. I will say that.
But I think that what the conclusion I've come to is obviously mass audiences, your common person going to the theater this weekend doesn't really seem to care about the slap at all. And I don't think the mass audience really cares that much. And I'm not pointing out anybody listening to this, like, because everybody is going to have their own opinion, right? But it just, obviously people showed up to this movie. It doesn't seem to have affected them. I think the damage to Will Smith's reputation is much more in the industry than it is outside of it, is my takeaway from it all, because he can still headline a blockbuster movie and get butts and seats at the theater. And I love going to the movies and being in the theater. And so, I'm not mad about this movie making money.
No, not at all. So congrats to everybody that was part of this film. Like I said, from our brothers Adil and Bilal, that are great filmmakers, delivered a really great summer blockbuster, and really excites me for their future. Glad Will Smith is back. Martin Lawrence is back too. He needs to do more stuff, to be honest. I love Will Smith, big Will Smith fan my whole life. But Martin Lawrence, I'm a big fan of, and I think I want to see more from him. I feel like there was a lot of great stuff in the 90s and early 2000s from him, and then all of a sudden, nothing much there. So I'm glad he's doing these bad boy movies still, and hopefully we can get something else from him as well. Uh, what's next for you, Drew? What are you excited for the summer blockbuster?
Okay, so don't make fun of me. A blind spot for me recently is I hadn't seen any of the Beverly Hills Cop movies, but I just watched the first one last night, and I'm doing my homework preparing for Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, the new direct to Netflix fourth installment in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. So I'm looking forward to that, just having watched the first one. And let's see, what else am I looking
Well,
forward to?
real
Of
quick
course,
though, we can't go past this. I'm the biggest Beverly Hills Cop fan you can find. Not gonna lie, love them all. Obviously, three is a toss up, but you just started watching them. They're so great. We're definitely gonna have a Beverly Hills Cop episode. I'm excited for this fourth one. Bilal and Adil were originally going to direct this film, by the way, if you did not know. They were attached to
I saw
Humans,
this. I was doing my research. I just saw that.
which is actually probably for the best. Like I said, like you don't want to keep doing the same types of films, because that's what Beverly Hills Cop is. It's like Bad Boys in a certain way. So I'm glad like they did not do this, because they focus all their stuff on the last two films and made it better for that franchise. What is the other film that you are excited for, Drew?
I'm also, of course, excited for Deadpool and Wolverine, which is getting really close now. And then I just want to shout out one that I just recently watched that's now available on Netflix. But Richard Linklater's Hitman, starring Glenn Powell, is now on Netflix, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. So just to shout that one out.
I just saw that. I'm gonna say it was good. I guess I just was thinking that it was gonna be very action packed, and I guess I was just misled a little bit because I didn't know anything about it. But other than that, fun movie, fun premise, for sure. Also, I watched The Watchers. Speaking of that, that was an interesting film. Very impressive directorial debut for Ishana Night Shyamalan. Ultraman Rising is coming to Netflix this week, y'all. Watch it, support it. It's a very long, very like awesome action-packed Ultraman film, like really well done, graphics amazing. So that's something, Drew, I want to put on your radar too, is the new Ultraman Rising. And I'm not sure if I said this last time, but Young Woman in the Sea, I think it's coming to Disney Plus soon. I want to make sure people do end up watching that whenever it comes out, put that on their radar as well. But yeah, summer blockbusters coming. Deadpool Wolverine going to take over the summer, and it's going to take over the not blockbuster. It's going to be a big blockbuster. It's going to take over the box office, Drew. What's your number on there before we wrap this up? Because I'm thinking $1 billion for this one.
I mean, if there's any movie that has a chance to, it's going to be this one, right?
I think so too. I mean, it might go. I mean, it's a rated R film though too, but it's possible. It is doable. Maybe it might take a little while, but maybe a very strong opening right now.
If it's not this one, it's Despicable Me 4. If any movie is going to make $1 billion this summer, it's one of those two. Despicable Me 4 has the rating that it doesn't have to worry about, the R rating like Deadpool and Wolverine. But if the MCU fans are chomping at the bit and people are waiting, to see one movie this summer, and this is the one they're waiting to see, Deadpool and Wolverine will probably make a lot of money.
I hope so. I think so. I'm excited to see where that leads us for the MCU. I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been following the Moviegoers Society podcast. For all you tuning in, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on the Spotify channel. Wherever you're listening to us, just follow, leave a review. Engage with us, leave comments, likes. We want to know, what y'all like, what y'all don't like, and what y'all are watching. And once again, Drew, where can they find you?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms, over at Letterboxd, weekly on the Moviegoers Society, and I'll plug Fresh Out the Podcast from over there weekly as well.
I hope to join y'all soon over there. But thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoers Society. Once again, I'm Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will see you at the movies.